Hold on, I just went.
Oh, or not.
Oh, we might need to restart because I just disappeared and came back.
Do you need to restart?
I think so.
Seriously? What?
Seriously?
Your computer?
It disappeared and it came back.
Because I mean, you're here. Like you're.
Am I here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see me? Okay?
I can see you. Yeah.
All right.
And I am really, really ghost white, but okay. The weather's.
Who failed to put her makeup on today?
Uh-huh.
Got her whole green alien thing going on. We gotta fix that.
Mm.
All right. So we are recording. Excuse me. And we will count down from.
Let's just do it. Let's just jump in. Let's just go jump in.
We're counting down because I gotta be edit this shit out.
Okay.
So we're gonna count down from 5. And we're asking all the angels and the guides and the teachers to be with us and be present here now. And for this, we give thanks as we try to deliver something meaningful and positive for the 11s. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. Today we're, excuse me, going to cough and clear our throats and start again. Things going on. Oh my God. Okay, on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. Today, my guest is Stephanie Garcia. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. Not too bad, actually.
Excellent. We are 2 brave chicks doing this during the retrograde from hell.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's all good. We actually, I'm gonna give the credit where credit is due. Stephanie suggested that we do a follow-up to the video that we did on Monday, discussion we had with Lindsay Ullman. Lindsay was kind enough to come on and discuss the gift of darkness, and sort of, it was really a good discussion because we were talking about her challenges as she came out of the infantile state of being an 11 and maturing into her 11ness and, allowing her creativity to shine. And now she's doing all kinds of wonderful things. So she really was great sharing that with us. But today we're going to be discussing how to express your unique form of creativity. And 11, as you probably know, Stephanie is an 11. And she is, excuse me, oh my God.
Okay. We're going to stop pretending that we got this perfect, which is the first step when it comes to expressing your creativity, honestly. You've got to get past the point of thinking that you've got this perfect and acting like we got it all together. And
we're starting this again. Because
no, it's okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. No. Yes, it's a roundtable discussion. Let's keep going.
If I fuck up after this, it's okay. But I'm not no, because I guess what do we call you? The visual artist.
I'm a visual artist.
I couldn't get that.
But that's okay. We're during Mercury retrograde. Let's accept it. That's what
but we're not. I cursed, and I'm not doing that. That's not.
It's okay. I cuss. You cuss. We all cuss.
We're starting again.
Let's stop acting like we got this together. That is the first thing when it comes to expressing your.
Now we might cut some stuff out for bloopers, okay? but we're starting again.
Stop trying to be perfect. We got it.
Not gonna be. I need my fan.
If this was, it's live, so.
All right. Oh shit, it is too.
It is live. We might as well just accept it.
Nobody's here yet, so it's all good. All right. On 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Today, my special guest is Stephanie Garcia. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey.
What's going on?
I'm laughing at you a lot. That's what's going on right now.
I know. You know what? I'm not going to lie here, guys. We've been trying to get this this event started probably 6 times, and we've crashed and burned every time because Mercury has been kicking our ass severely. So we've decided that Mercury is going to be the master of the universe.
We're going to surrender. We're just going to accept it.
We are going to accept it. We're going to surrender and accept us. Accept it. Anyway, so further to the conversation I had with Lindsay Ullman on Monday, where we called it help me, Stephanie. We called it.
Well, it's coming out of the darkness, or the gifts of darkness, right?
Thank you. The gifts of darkness. Oh my gosh, it's going to go that way today. The gifts of darkness. Lindsay was very generous with her time and allowed herself to be very vulnerable, and shared with her the struggles that she had gone through to reach out to become the recording artist that she is. She's a singer-songwriter. She's got a couple of published books. I think she's working on her third now. So she's done really, really well, but not without the challenges, right? So, and I mean, Stephanie knows that all too well. She's an 11, and she's a visual artist with voiceofdream.com. And she's certainly been working very hard with me to kind of recreate me over the last couple of years. So, you know, I really felt that when she suggested that we get together to do this, we agreed that we would talk about how to express your unique form of creativity.
Yeah, because everybody's got their own unique form, and we have to have the courage to express that.
Exactly. And it's not always easy, is it?
Heck no. Heck no. Yeah, well, there's a lot of fear that gets involved with that. A lot of fear.
Well, do you think it comes from the fact that maybe creativity is such a broad statement?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And everybody has sort of their own perception of what creativity is. You know, like I come from a very creative background where my mother was an artist. She was a silversmith and extremely creative in so many areas. So I kind of, you know, paled in comparison. But I mean, I grew up with that. So to me, that's what creativity was until I learned differently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I also think, I think a lot of people hear it as something that sounds kind of flighty, or it sounds like the starving artist. And so I think even though it needs to be defined for people, and everybody has a different perspectives, it's not, sometimes it's defined for people and sometimes it's not. But sometimes when it is defined for people, it may come with a lot of baggage. For you, you may have felt like you were lesser than.
Yeah.
In my own home, my father and my mother, I could tell, always yearned to be more creative.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, there was no way for them to be creative. And so that stifled feeling of their creativity, I took on that. I felt that.
Right.
So they didn't have the courage to be expressive. And I sure as heck did not feel like I had the courage to be expressive. That idea scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, I remember many times that my mother's friends in particular would come up to me and go, "Oh, are you as creative as your mom?" And I'd be like, "No." Thanks for that. Thanks for pointing that out. No, I'm not. You know,
Yeah.
Because at that age, you don't know that you have other gifts that might be stronger. You know, that might be more supportive and whatnot. That, and I know that I did. I had a lot of really great gifts that my mom felt sort of somewhat threatened by. You know, my ability to communicate and that sort of thing was sometimes a bit better than hers was. So
yeah. We're unfortunately passing on the baton from one generation to the next, unhealed wounds. Yeah,
exactly. So, you know, we want to make sure that everybody understands that creativity comes in many different forms. I mean, it can be an art form, you know, a painter, for example, or potter, or craftsman in that way, or dance, music, writing music, singing music, writing poetry, blogging. And then I was sort of thinking, you know, beyond that, you and I as entrepreneurs, you and I as business owners and whatnot, we always have to come up with creative ways with which to get our messages across.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So creativity isn't just, you know, fun and games. It can be part of your work as well.
I think it is your part of your work. I think it really is life force energy. Creativity really is that life force energy that comes through you to your work. It doesn't really matter the modality that you're using. It's the ability to be a channel and allow whatever wants to come through.
Right.
And I had pulled a card today, and it really talked about putting your love and your heart and your soul into something. When you do that, it gives it life. And that life then goes out and affects other people's lives.
Right.
It gives its own heartbeat. So I think, you know, you could be a painter, you could be an artist, or you could be a speaker. You could be your art and your creativity. You could be an engineer. You could be a scientist, and your art and creativity comes through that. So it's your own unique form of expression, I think.
You know, I had somebody send me a question for a live that I was supposed to do last night. My butt. But anyway, I want to see if I can find it, because she asked the question. and she was going to ask it publicly, so I will tell you, it's Perry Ann Neal, who's part of our membership group. And her question was, I have a question. I've been watching your videos, the Master Number 11 membership site. Videos are very helpful, thoughtful. My question is, how does an 11/2 or any 11 recognize which number vibration they are experiencing? So further to, I'm not trying to get off topic here, but further to the whole concept of being creative, I was helping her to understand that even in your workplace, you can use creativity, right?
Oh, yeah.
In problem solving and in leadership. So my answer to her was, so the 11 is always balancing between the double 1 energy and the 2 energy. It's like an idea, it's like a, now my iPad has now decided to spell its own words. It's like it says idea game. It's like a video game when you have to strike a balance between the two. The question is always, how do I maintain a comfortable role as a creative, confident leader without coming on too strong? It's about learning how to be the giver without overgiving. That's the number 2. It's learning to be assertive, but not compromising relationships. So I guess the best thing to do is to always ask, which side are you working from at the moment? Think of it as this. You're a boss in a company, and there's a lot of pressure on you to ensure your team performs well. The stress is super high. You're frustrated. You might have a tendency to jump all over your staff, displaying an excessive amount of 1 energy, remembering that there's always a positive and a negative side to each number. Or you might execute more 2 energy by bringing in a patient diplomatic leader who confidently, with a steady, gentle hand, leads your team to victory. The choice is always yours, but at the end of the day, the double 1s are the sub-lesson. The big lesson you're learning is the 2.
You want me to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the first thing that I know with that question is the first thing when I hear that, I just wanted to take a deep breath. It felt like a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think the first thing I noticed in that conversation or in that question is overthinking it.
Well, understand, I could have written a novel in response to that.
Yeah. Well, but also overthinking it. We have a tendency to overthink these things and make it more complicated than it is. Yeah. Really, when it comes to balancing the 1 and the 2 energy, or the double 1 and the 2 energy, yesterday it came very clear to me that it's about balance. It's about balancing. But you intuitively know when you're in one or the other. And you also intuitively know when you need to be in one or the other.
Right.
Part of being an 11 is being able to know how to do both.
Right.
There's a time, it's about the divine feminine and divine masculine that lives inside of all of us. Right. There's a time to sit here and to not act and just take in the information. That's that 2 energy.
Right.
And then you intuitively know when you need to act, and that's the masculine energy, and that's that 1. And it's a constant flow of a cycle. Yeah. And that's really what it is. That's how you balance it.
And that's what makes being an 11 so much more demanding than any other life path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's also important to remember that even in the seasons, we're not constantly on. Even in the day, we're not constantly on. There's time where the sun is out, and then there's time when the sun goes away. There's a time when it's spring and summer, and then there's time when it's fall and winter. Right. Okay, so the fall and winter is more the feminine energy, the receptive energy, the going within and stepping back. And then you've got the masculine energy, which is that spring and that summer where it's time to come out and do. Right. Which we're all getting ready to do as we're getting ready to go into spring while this is being filmed. We're about to go into spring.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's kind of, I've got all these different things, as you know, on the back burner that I want to create and I want to do and whatnot. But there's a part of me that just says, ain't happening until the 1st of April.
Just wait. Yeah. And that's and it's a little later this year. Last year, it didn't start feeling like spring and time for action until March. Mm-hmm. This year, it feels, and I was thinking to myself, wow, we're almost in the middle of March, but it doesn't feel like the energy is going to start until maybe a week or so from now. We can intuitively feel this, but that doesn't mean that the frustration doesn't come. Yeah. It doesn't, you know, we're so ready for spring, but winter isn't ready to leave yet. So we have to keep pulling back.
My horse is blowing her coat big time. So, I mean, I'm taking garbage bags of hair out of her all the time. My dog ran away yesterday. Like, she never leaves the yard, but it's like, oh, it smells good.
Yeah, they know, they feel it. Yeah, they know it's coming. And we all know it's coming, but we also know that it's just that, it's like we're just peeking out of the cave.
Exactly. So I think that's worthy of noting, because we're in the 3 universal year, which is all about communication. It's all about a universal need to be creative and express ourselves and be a little bit more social and being out there. But lots of us are still in our cocoons, and that's
Mm.
okay,
Oh,
right?
that's okay. That's the biggest thing to say. That's okay, because
Yeah.
I was so excited for this year, and then because I'm born on a 3-day, I'm in a 3 personal year, so excited. January 1st came and it was like the wall hit me.
Yeah.
And January felt like way more of a struggle. I felt as I was ready to go, but I
Mhm.
felt this huge pullback. And one of the biggest things I had to say to myself is, and I had to constantly remind myself is, it's okay.
Right.
It's going to take time. It's okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think the ticket right here is to be able to give yourself permission to be okay with it. I mean, there are so
Mm-hmm.
many things that go on in a person's soul's contract. There are so many influencing parts to that contract. You can't just look at it as life path number 11. I mean, that gets top billing. I get that. But there are so many other areas in that chart that tell us how you're going to go through that personal year. You know, if you
Yeah.
have an essence, for example, that is holding you back, the essence comes from your birth name, that's going to have a huge influence. I mean, in your case, what your essence is, do you remember?
I'm of essence is a 5.
It's a 5, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is very scattered. It's all over the place.
Oh, and yeah, and I'm telling you, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. So here you are in a year of 3, in a universal year of 3, and you've got a 3 day of birth, energy of the day of birth. And so there's a lot of energy that's coming in that's saying, come on, Stephanie, get with the program. Like, start
Mm-hmm.
doing something. But the 5 is like, butterfly,
Yeah. It's
certainly.
not grounded at all.
No, it's
Ooh,
not.
I'm like, my
Right.
son
So
is
it's really
really,
not,
really blank.
it's not meant to be. It's
Yeah.
just not meant to be. Now, there's going to be personal months that you go through that you'll feel more grounded than others, right? Because they're like a 4 personal month, for example, is going to make you feel a little bit more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. You can't change it. The 5 says we've got to be adaptable, resilient, and flexible.
Exactly.
The other thing that comes into mind too is that when we're 11s with this huge need to express ourselves and a huge need to get in touch with our creative potential, that's all well and good. But if you have an expression number, which brings in your talents and your gifts to support the lesson of the 11, if that expression number isn't as supportive as it could be, then you're going to run into some resistance. Like an 11, for example, who's wanting to be super creative and put it out there and get things done, and come on, time's running out. I need to create something that's meaningful and whatnot. Would be well supported by a 5 expression number that says, okay, good, you can do YouTube, you can get out there and do radio, you can do television, you can do whatever, because the 5 is going to give you the limelight. It's going to make you feel comfortable stepping into the limelight that typically the 11s aren't comfortable with.